Yes. Welcome to Patrick Christie's tonight, here with an amazing studio audience. And of course, I've got my fantastic panel here with me as well. Your Friday night is just getting started, isn't it, everybody? Yeah! Wonderful stuff. Now, listen up. How does 40 grand tax-free cash sound to you? Because it's not the latest Great British giveaway here on GB News. This is the government's handling of your money out of your back pocket, because Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood doesn't seem to have a problem with giving it away.
The government will now pilot a similar model for families who are failed asylum seekers, a small number of whom will now be offered an increased incentive payment of £10,000 per person and up to a maximum of £40,000 per family.
Yeah, and here's how Nigel Farage reacted to that news.
You what? 40 grand?
Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt as well, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, because she's come back from a taxpayer-funded trip to Denmark and insisted on finding a deterrence. Instead, she's come back with what seems to be an incentive for them to come here. Is it any surprise? Because this government loves jetting off, doesn't it? And now they seem to want illegal migrants to experience that same jet-setting luxury lifestyle. Keir Starmer himself, by the way, has flown 3/4 of the way to the moon. Not that many people would be too unhappy if we sent him there, given his approval ratings. Do you agree? Anyone agree? Yeah! People have spoken. But it is really a slap in the face of every hard-working British person, isn't it? This new magnet for illegals can join Labour's other new initiatives, such as the pilot programme to house asylum seekers in council houses, jumping the queue ahead of British people nonetheless. Now, they can say they'll be getting a tax rebate, these illegal migrants, ahead of all of us too, despite never putting in a hard day's work in this country. It's a real shambles, isn't it? So should we take an average family from Afghanistan and find out how well off they'd be? Well, a family of 4 would be able to go back to Afghanistan and live essentially work-free, forget this, between 18 and 20 years. That's what 40 grand would do for them.
You what? 40 grand?
Yeah. Or what about a family from Sudan? Well, they would live like royalty there for about 22 years. Can you believe it? That's what 40 grand would do for them.
You what? 40 grand?
Yeah, I feel you, Nigel, I really do. Meanwhile, you at home are paying record-high taxes, sky-high living costs. So, should we pay up to 40 grand to send illegal migrants back to their home country?
We're living in a time of what feels like pretty significant social change, and it makes us question things that we've even taken for granted for decades. And one of those at the moment that people are wondering about is actually money. Is the money in your bank account safe? Should you be investing elsewhere? Are we looking at a potential global crash? What will it mean for your savings? Is there a way that you could be using your money that might be outside of government control even? Well, TallyMoney is potentially one solution. So I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. What is TallyMoney?
Well, at TallyMoney, you basically get gold you can spend. So we give people an individual account in their name, everyday account. They get a sort code and account number. They use that account just like they would pounds from their bank, but it's milligrams of gold that we brand as Tally.
Okay. Why would you do that, though? What is the benefit to the customer instead of just having a normal pound sterling account?
Gold's performance against the pound is above 11% per annum over the last 25 years on average. But we still need money in our daily lives, and we have savings. We know that it's good common sense and prudent to save up for things, not just live in credit. You know, whether it's a holiday or a rainy day, your retirement planning, you need to have money in your life, basically, that you can rely on, that's dependable, that nobody meddles with, that nobody can weaponise against you, which is another element of government control when it's the government currency, which we could talk about another time. And it should be pretty simple and straightforward, and that's what we deliver at Tally. And really, we just want people to feel safe and happy with their money. There was a time when the bigger your bank balance, the more confident you felt. Now it's like, I need to do something with it. I can't leave it there. In Tally, you can.
Okay, brilliant. Cameron Parry from TallyMoney, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev.
Joining me tonight to discuss this is former Conservative MP Anna Firth, journalist and broadcaster Cristo Foufas, Russell, and journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Battleworth. Almost got it there, guys. Almost. The boo you were looking for. Benjamin, I'll start with you. Should we be giving out 40k to illegal migrants to go back to their home countries?
Well, I see why it's easy to say it doesn't feel good because it's giving money to people that have come into the country and that haven't been here already. But actually, if you look at the facts, when it costs more than £100,000 a year in costs for a family of 3 or 4 to be housed, when the legal costs of deporting them cost tens of thousands of pounds each, actually the idea that they get 1 week to say that they're going to leave with their kids would save the taxpayer tens, if not hundreds of millions of pounds if this was scaled up. And so surely the answer, if you want to deport people and you want to save the taxpayer money, is the scheme that Shabana Mahmood has suggested.
Cristo.
I mean, are you drinking?
Well, it'll make it easier being with you.
Well, do you know what? I would pour more vodka for you if you came out with more sense. I'm just doing a little tax calculation.
Oh, right.
And, I would have to earn about 60,000 a year to take home 40,000 pounds. Every single one of you in here would have to earn 60,000 pounds a year to have 40,000 pounds left over. Are they mad? Are they thick? I mean, they're so stupid. What I can't get, I could get bad decisions if they believed in them and if you thought there was intelligence behind them. But this lot are so stupid, I'm surprised they're able to get dressed in the morning. Did you see them all dancing this week? I mean, literally World War III is about to start and they're all in Parliament having a Strictly Dance lesson. I mean, the optics of this government and our MPs is so bad. And then what planet must they think that we are all on if they think, right, the hotels are costing billions, housing people, feeding them, all of this is costing billions. Here's a good idea. Here's something that's really going to get us endeared by the British public. We'll give them 40 grand.
So this is really interesting because other parties are offering cash incentives too. Russell, Reform UK, wants to offer a cash incentive to deport migrants. Nowhere near as much, of course. Is there something in this? Is there anything at all?
No, I include you in this stupidity then as well.
Hang on. I'm a member of Reform. I'm a Reform councillor. That doesn't mean I have to agree with everything that Reform say. I do not agree under any circumstances with effectively incentivising illegal migrants to come here, to sit here on the taxpayer's dime and then to take up to £40,000 to leave. Frankly, they obviously shouldn't be here in the first place. And, I mean, is it just me, or maybe Cristo, maybe Anna as well, that thinks that instead of allowing them to come here, putting them up in hotels, flat-screen TVs, 3 meals a day, trampoline lessons, driving lessons and so on, should we not surely just take away all of the incentives, every single one? So, no hotel, no driving lessons, definitely no trampoline lessons, and that then, I mean, this is just a question, surely, not just of good politics, but of behavioural science. If you were to take away those incentives and say, look, if you rock up here as the 5th country that you have entered on your way out of Syria, Afghanistan or Iraq, and you decide that you want to be here, you'll be on the street. There will be no accommodation. There will be no brand new houses built by your local authority to house you. There certainly won't be any all-you-can-eat buffets and so on. Believe me, if we did that, they wouldn't be here in the first place. And to Benjamin's point then, the taxpayer, of course, would be even better off than having to give them £40,000 of my and your money to get rid of them. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. It's like a dystopian game show.
40 grand?
Immigration.
You what?
Yeah.
So let's ask Anna, because obviously the Tories also want to have a cash incentive. Is there... Again, I'll put the same question to you. Is there something in this argument?
No, there's nothing in this argument at all.
So get rid of it entirely.
So you're absolutely right that the Tories did allow people to claim £3,000 in order to go. And I don't like the idea of paying anybody who is illegal, rewarding illegal behaviour. No, that's completely wrong. However, £3,000 is a completely different order to £40,000. Now, let's just put this in context, because this is the 10th The 10th new policy that this Labour government has come up with since they came into office to deal with illegal migration. What does that tell you? That shows they did not have a plan. But you do not need to come up with 10 different ideas if you've got a good idea in the first place. The new Border Security Command, which was just replacing existing institutions. The return hubs that they were going to bring in. The most embarrassing moment when Keir Starmer stood up in Albania and said he was going to do one in Albania, and the Albanian Prime Minister said, well, actually, no, you're not. That was an embarrassment, wasn't it?
Right,
the one in, one out, which has turned out to be 41,000 in and barely any out. The Chinese, who were going to stop making the boats for the small boats. This all shows a government that has no grip. And what should they have done? They should have kept the Rwanda returns policy. That would have stopped the boats.
There's a gentleman in the front who wants to ask a question. What would you like to ask, sir?
Yeah, I do agree with you on the Rwanda policy. I think it was a disaster stopping that. But what I'd like to say is that before we even think about sending people back, we need to close our borders. Trump has closed the borders of the USA. They've got 0 illegal immigrants coming in. Anybody that tries to come in, there are about 6,000 come in the last year, and none of them have actually got into the country. They've just basically been held in a detention centre and sent back. It's easy to stop people coming over to the UK. We just have the Royal Navy in the Channel stop anyone crossing into British waters. Once we stop people coming in, then we can deal with the people that are here illegally. But that's what we need to do first.
The problem. Thank you. Let me just
I mean, first of all, I respect that Anna would know about open borders because she seemingly said nothing in the 5 years in which they happened when you were a Tory MP.
Absolutely
it wasn't
wrong,
a Labour government that let 1 million people in 1 year. It was you and the people you supported. So actually, I think you take people for idiots.
And I do agree, my government also let too many in as well.
Let you come back, Benjamin first.
Tony Blair let in a fraction of the people that you let in. So I think there's a massive hypocrisy. You take people for idiots thinking they'll forget just 18 months ago. Look, the fact is nobody should come in a small boat because actually a lot of those people are going into modern slavery. Many of them don't have the money up front. They then live underground in this country in horrific conditions that nobody should, and some of them die. So clearly they shouldn't be coming across the border. But when you've got tens of thousands of people here, just be realistic for a second. If the cost is about £40,000 per person just for their legal costs to try and deport them, let alone the housing costs and the food costs, then it makes sense. And the evidence of that is that the Tories agree and Reform agree, but they're just too scared to say it because they think the audience won't like it.
How do you stop them going with the 40,000 and then coming back again, even though they've pocketed the 40 grand? The boat policy, and bear in mind, how many gangs have been smashed so far? Zero. How do you stop them taking the money, going and coming back again?
Well, I tell you what I'd do. I'd have ID cards and I'd fingerprint them.
ID cards,
and so then that would make it much easier. It would. How do you work in this country when everyone has an ID card to prove that they're legal to work? It makes it a lot harder. The black market draws people in.
On your point on modern slavery, because surely, and I put this to you, Cristo, surely this is going to just act as a massive magnet for those human trafficking gangs who think, right, every one of those families coming through is 40 grand that I can then rip them off for.
Well, I'll say two things. Firstly, will you stop doing the comedy routine with your answers? Because you're making people laugh more than I do, frankly, with the nonsense that's coming out of your mouth. Frankly, and I'm sorry, I would say that most of the people in here, and I'm not trying to denigrate slavery and modern slavery, it's a terrible problem. But you know what? Taxpayers nowadays feel like they are working their backsides off for the highest tax burden to get nothing out of it. So, you know, they're sick of it. They are absolutely pig sick of it. And I think that to talk about modern slavery, most people feel that they are slaving away and getting absolutely nothing back. And this is absolutely a part of that.
Anna first.
Yeah, I do agree with you that it would be far preferable if we could stop the boats landing in the first place. And when Australia had a huge problem, they towed the boats to another island. But my understanding...
What island would you tow them to?
Well, that is... I take them back... No, I take them back to... No, I take them...
Don't say Canby, thank you very much.
No, I'm definitely not saying Canby Island. I would take them back to France. You know, that's the obvious place, isn't it?
The problem that you've got, though, is that the Navy, and that this goes to your point, sir, in fairness to Priti Patel and Suella Braverman, when she was, I think she was a Tory that week, the Navy refused. They tried that. The Navy refused.
That was exactly the point I was going to make. But from what Benjamin's saying, you would imagine that this government had got it all right, that they'd got all the answers. This is the arrogant, complacent attitude.
Deportations are up 45%.
Plenty more time to fight, you two, all right? Calm down. Listen, we've got people here from Switzerland tonight, Chester, North Yorkshire. Thank you all so much for coming. How are you having fun? More fun for you at home now, because it's time for our brand new Great British giveaways. The biggest...
£1,000?
No, it's not. That's Shabana Mahmood's Great British giveaway. Ours is better. You can drive away with a brand new camper van worth 60 grand and 25k in tax-free cash. It's worth 92 grand. Better than that deal I think we were just hearing about. Here's all the details on how you can be in it to win it.